Yo guys, what is going on? Finally back at you with 2.0 rulings. We got basically 1.5 sets worth of cards to go through. So let's just kind of talk about some of the common interactions and new keywords, new effects, all those sorts of things to get you up to speed and hopefully prepare you for locals or any regional level events. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first kind of interaction I want to talk about specifically has to do with Takuya Koji, the end of turn effect as well as the start of main effect. The start of main is pretty self-explanatory. Basically says you may place up to one card with the hybrid trait from your trash, and then for each tamer ramp that up by 2. So for example, like let's say I've got 2 hybrids in my trash, start of my main phase, I can go ahead and stick 1 underneath this, but like let's say if I've got 2 tamers, I can go ahead and stick up to 3. So in this case, maybe if I had 3, I can choose any number of these to stick underneath the Takuya Koji. So that's the pretty straightforward part, but let's kind of talk about the end of turn effect. Basically just says this Digimon with the hybrid and warriors may attack the player. So let's say maybe we go ahead and go like, I don't know, Flame on for 3, Resolve is on play, get a search there, bottom deck these, and then we can go ahead and Digivolve this Burning Gray for 2, draw, and then resolve any on evolves, and then end of turn we can just go ahead and swing security. That seems all fine and dandy. It gets a little bit complicated, let's say when you've got a package like the Kendo Garurumon and Lobomon package, and this also works with the Ancient Greymon package as well. We're going to kind of talk about that. But so there's kind of 2 ways we can resolve this this kind of combo depending on what you want to do. So let's say the normal way is what we're used to, is just doing the combo like this, Digivolving 2 over Koji, attacking security, maybe using the one attacking draw effect, use the other one attacking Digivolve into a Lobomon for free, draw, since it's got Kendo underneath, we can go ahead and warp into Ancient for a cost of 3, draw, and then maybe let's say our opponent's not dead, let's say they've got 1 security, we do the security check, check that, and then end of turn, since we've reached end of turn, we can go ahead and use the Ancient Garurumon effect, resolve its effect, maybe grab back these 2, play out the Takuya again. Okay, so that's kind of the first way to do it. The second way, if you want to avoid the destruction of end of turn, is maybe something like this. Let's say we play like Ukomon, go to 0, and then we go into the Kendo Garurumon for a cost of 2, and then that's going to be it. And then at end of turn timing, the only trigger currently is going to be the Takuya Koji, so we can go ahead and swing security, and then do the exact same combo. So again for 0, and then for 3, putting our opponent to 5, and then again, like let's say we just check this Kumamon once again, and then at this point, we've passed our turn, we've finished at resolving every other effect. This Ancient Garurumon will actually just stay on the field, basically because this Kendo Garurumon says if Digivolve this by this effect, delete this Digimon at the end of the turn, but we kind of already passed the end of turn timing, we didn't get to regain turn or anything. And so this Kendo didn't actually see the end of turn trigger. And then in fact, if you go on to the next turn, like let's say it's our opponent's turn, they go ahead and pass, and then maybe we pass back to them again, this Ancient Garurumon will still be on the field, it's not going to go anywhere, it basically permanently survives. So that's kind of a way you can, I don't think they intended it to work that way, but here we are, and that's basically how it goes. So that's how it goes with Ancient Garurumon. Again, Ancient Greymon will basically be the same thing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about as far as the hybrid deck goes is going to be Susanoomon Ace as well as Ruler of Destruction and Regeneration. So let's say I've got these 2 tamers on the field. In fact, let's go ahead and put, I don't know, like a Zoe on the field just to kind of illustrate this if I have one somewhere. Yep, so let's say we've got these 3 tamers on the field, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we have this color requirements for Ruler of Destruction Rebirth, so we're going to go ahead and pay the 6 for this, and then this says one of your Digimon or Tamers may Digivolve into Susanoomon in your hand or trash without paying the cost. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that this doesn't ignore Digivolution requirements, so at the current moment I can pay 6 for this, but nothing will happen because I don't have either a level 6 Digimon on the field or a Takuya Koji with 10 cards under it. So let's say for the purposes of this, I've just got like an Emperor Greymon or something. So we're going to say, first of all, we're going to activate that, so we can go and Digivolve into Susanoomon. Okay, part 1 done. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And then so the next part is going to be then by placing up to 4 of your tamers with different colors as the bottom Digivolution card of your Susanoomon. For each card placed, gain 1 memory. Now, there's been a lot of talk about how exactly does this look at colors? Because while I have 3 different tamers here, and there are in fact 4 colors amongst these tamers, but they all share red, so is the question like, okay, well, do they have to be completely unique colors? Like if I put a red yellow, can I not put either of these because they're red blue because they share red, for example? And to be honest, and any judges in the chat or comments correct me, I don't think we're 100% certain yet. As far as I've seen ruled on the judge Discord, talk to people about, seen in Japan, the way this goes is that it looks at each unique color. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and choose my 3 tamers here, and then they look at this is red, yellow, and then minimum of 1 unique color. This has a blue, so it's a different color than this one, and this has green, so it's a different color than either of those 2. So we can go ahead and stick these 3 underneath our stack, gaining back 3 and resolving the effect. That's how I interpret this. It also would seem a little bit silly to me that if the way it worked was you could only stick 1 color and they couldn't share colors at all, then the whole point of this is to have like all of the frontier tamers on the table, but they all share red or they all share yellow, for example. But anyways, as far as I know, that's how that works. And then another thing I guess I want to mention is, what about for monocolor tamers? Like in this case where, okay, let's say I'm going to go ahead and stick, again, these 3 underneath because they're all have 1 unique color. I then wouldn't be able to stick this Takuya underneath because since it's mono red, it doesn't have its own unique color as opposed to like when you compare it to all the others. So it has to either be dual colored and have its own unique color, maybe like yellow purple or something, or just like a completely different color like white if it was a monocolor tamer. But because it's red and that's shared by a card in the source of Susanoomon currently, then you wouldn't be able to put the mono red tamer underneath. But so that's as far as that goes. I don't know how often this will come up because this card really sucks, but there you guys go for any of you Frontier fans out there. Okay, and then the next thing I want to talk about in regards to Susanoomon is the first kind of condition or evolution condition where it says you can digivolve over Takuya/Koji with 10 hybrid cards underneath it for a cost of 6. So let's say in this case, you know, it's my opponent's turn, and they decide to swing at security. Let's say I've got an Emperor Greymon on the field. Typically, when you have a card that's an ace, and you have like a black box Evo, like Mega Gargo or, I don't know, Sakuyamon Maid Mode, you can pretty much always just Digivolve over either of the conditions because it says, because it's an alternate Digimon condition, Digivolve condition. The thing with this card is that Blast Digivolve specifically says one of your Digimon may Digivolve into this card, and this is not a Digimon, so unfortunately, in this scenario, I would have to evolve over my Susanoomon. I could not Blast Evo over my Koji, despite how cool that would be, and I really think they should just change the text for Suno specifically, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. But basically, yeah, you can't blast over Ace over this thing. I can go ahead and blast over this, resolve its effect, pop Takuma. But if I want to normal Digivolve, let's say it's my turn, I'm at 3 or something, I can just go ahead and like slap this over the Takuya Koji for a cost of 6, pay the cost, Digivolve, draw, get any 1 Digivolving effects, just like normal. So just something I want to mention with that. Alright, the next set of cards I want to talk about is going to be the purple hybrid cards, so Duskmon, Velgrmon, Koichi, etc. These cards are really prominent and really, really powerful. So the thing I want to point out is going to be obviously like is going to be how these cards work. So let's say my opponent's got Duskmon, and their hand, they evolve it, and then we got Velgr in the trash. What Duskmon does is on Digivolving, you can change one of their Digimon or Tamers into a color other than white, so you can kind of manipulate your opponent's color. So let's say if my opponent Digivolves Duskmon, you can change, let's say, my Flamemon into like yellow or blue or any color, again, aside from white. For dual color cards, it overrides both the colors. So for my Takuya Koji, for example, he could change this into just a blue Tamer, a flat-out blue, it loses both red and yellow. So that can be really strong versus certain decks, preventing them from Digivolving, for example. Like let's say if they turn my Flamemon into like green, for example, then next turn if I try, I couldn't evolve over with Kumamon because this looks for red or blue Digimon level 3, and I couldn't do that. So that's pretty self-explanatory. What if my opponent goes ahead and uses the Duskmon effect, swing security? They'd use the when attacking, one of your Digimon or Tamers may Digivolve into level 4 hybrid from trash, reduced by 1. So then you can go ahead and Digivolve into Velgr. This evolves from Duskmon for 1, but if you're reducing it by 1, it evolves for 0 basically. And then this thing goes ahead and mills for each color amongst your opponent's Digimon and Tamers. So I guess let's say in this case, right, just to make this like not as much of a headache, let's say I've got just this Flamon on field, and then they had turned, let's put a dice on here, they had turned my Takuya Koji blue, for example. So let's say they go ahead and swing security, so I've got a red card, a blue card, as well as green, so it doesn't double counter anything, so I've got 3 colors. We're going to go ahead and mill 3 from both players' decks, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then this will get plus 6,000 for the turn, so 13,000. Gonna check security. Okay, security check, it survives, and then end of attack by deleting 1 purple level 4 lower Digimon. Delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So then, in this case, the thing I wanted to point out is that this effect can even choose your opponent's Digimon. In this case, there isn't one for me to choose, or for my opponent, I guess, Duskmon player to choose. But I guess the general strategy is like you could turn your opponent's Digimon purple and then pop it and keep your own stack. So in this example, this is blue. They're going to go ahead and delete this guy to delete the Flamon, and then on deletion from the Duskmon will trigger. Okay, you could in fact do it the other way, where let's say instead of blue they had made this purple, still same number of cards milled, and then they go ahead and use the end of attack, delete the Flamon to delete all my Digimon with the lowest level. There isn't anything, but in this case they would get to keep their Velgr, which maybe you want that in some scenarios. And versus actual purple decks, it becomes even stronger because, like, let's say I've got like they don't even have to manipulate my color. They can just like let's say I've got 2 things on the field. They can go ahead and do the end of attack, delete the Dober X to delete everything at the lowest level. Lowest level is going to be Emperor Greymon that dies. I don't know why you'd be playing these in the same deck, but you get my point. So yeah, really strong card there. Okay, so the next set of cards I want to talk about is going to be the LordKnight support. This LordKnight, there's not really anything to mention. This is pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to talk about LordKnightmon X. The way this guy's one Digivolving effect works, it says for each of your Digimon De-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then until the end of their turn, one of their Digimon can't Digivolve. Okay, so let's say in this scenario, it's my opponent's turn. They're going to go ahead and evolve LordKnightmon X over LordKnight for a cost of 1, and then trigger the 1 Digivolving. So for each of their Digimon, they have 2 Digimon. They target 1 of my Digimon, so currently I have 3. Let's say they target the Kumamon here, and then they're going to Digivolve it once and then apply that effect 2 times. So they're going to target it, De-Digivolve, and then De-Digivolve again. Of course, nothing happens on that one. Okay, that seems pretty self-explanatory. And then for that second part, for the freezing from Digivolving, you can target anything. It doesn't have to be the same exact card. So let's say in that scenario, they prevent the Emperor Greymon from Digivolving. Maybe they want to play around this ace in my hand or something. But that one, it doesn't have to be the same exact target. But what I do want to point out is De-Digivolve. It always targets one thing, and then you look at your field and check how many Digimon you have and apply that effect X amount of times. So in the instance where they target my Emperor Greymon, what I thought was going to happen for the longest time, and I think a lot of people were under the impression, I didn't know this until I double checked, but the fact that you did Digivolve 1 here, and then you're going to do it again, but then because this checks to see that this is a tamer, it's not a Digimon that can be De-Digivolved, it's going to stop here. The reality of this situation is De-Digivolving skills can occur on tamers. The effect was already like triggered, the target was already chosen, if that makes sense. This stack was already chosen to be the target of the De-Digivolve 1 multiple times skill from LordKnightmon. So what will actually happen is that you're going to De-Digivolve 1, De-Digivolve 1, because De-Digivolve basically only cares about, is that target a level 3 Digimon, and does this target still have cards underneath it? It's not a level 3 Digimon, but it still has targets underneath it, so because it still has cards underneath it, you can still De-Digivolve it. So it's going to actually just De-Digivolve this down into a Kumamon, and then of course resolving that second part of the effect. Inherently different from something like Shadow Seraphimon, for example. Shadow Seraphi says De-Digivolve 3 one of your opponent's Digimon, so maybe in the case of the Hard Slam Shadow Seraphi, they target the Emperor Greymon. De-Digivolve 3 means choose 1 to 3. So let's say they choose the full 3. They're going to De-Digivolve 1, 2, 3. Because this doesn't check in between, it's going to go past the tamer because it did not hit a level 3 Digimon, and there are still more cards to be trashed. And that's kind of how the De-Digivolve skill works. Again, this and this are a little bit different in how they work. But basically, yeah, LordKnightmon always has to target one thing, and then you apply De-Digivolve 1 multiple times on that target. Okay, so then the next deck I want to talk about is going to be Royal Base, specifically these Forge B-Mons, and then as well as just like some things on face-up security cards. So for example, these Forge B-Mons say when any of your other Digimon with the Royal Base trait would leave the battle area by effects, by placing this Digimon face-up as the bottom security cards, they don't leave. So for example, so they're going to slam this Leviamon and then use this on play. So if our opponent has as many or more, delete one of your opponent's highest level Digimon. So they're going to delete the Queen Beemon. And then at this point it says you have multiple interruptive effects that trigger when this Digimon would leave the field. So you can use either the Queen Beemon effect, versus when any of your Royal-based Digimon would leave the field. Other than in battle, you may place it face up as the bottom security card instead. So for example, if we want to just dodge that, we could just go ahead and let me manipulate my security here, and we could just go ahead and put this underneath. And then after that, Leviamon will say, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So then it's going to choose one of the Forge Beemon. So let's say they choose this Forge Beemon. We can then use this Forge Beemon to say, okay, well then when my other Digimon would leave the battle area, we can place this one to prevent it from leaving. So then we place this one, which I said at the bottom security. Yes, so this goes to the bottom. And then our opponent will gain back 0 memory off of the Leviamon because of the fact that nothing was deleted, nothing was deleted and sent to the trash. This was put in as the bottom security card, and this was also put at the bottom security card, preventing this one from leaving, so this one wasn't deleted. So in this case, we just got to heal too, I guess, by giving up a little bit of our board. And you could also resolve this in, I guess, other ways as well. Like, let's say if you just wanted to, on this first effect, instead of using the Queen Beemon's effect, you wanted to just use this Forge Beemon. So then it says, okay, well, we want to keep the Queen alive, so we're just gonna go ahead and put this at the bottom, and then Leviamon will look at your lowest level Digimon, so then it's going to delete the Forge Bee, but then Queen Beemon says, okay, well then you can put that one at the bottom of security, so we're going to go ahead and put this at the bottom of security. So then in this case, we still healed 2, but we got to keep the Queen Bee, and then our opponent still doesn't gain back any memory. So then just depending on what you want to do, I guess you can kind of manipulate your security kind of however you want in that scenario. But yeah, you basically have multiple interruptive effects triggering at the same time, so you can just kind of decide how you want to resolve those, or if you want to pass on any of them, because I believe yeah, this one's optional as well as this one is optional. So for some reason, if you want them deleted, you can also do that. But yeah, cool stuff. And then the next thing I want to talk about, I guess, with regards to this deck, is just how face-up security cards get shuffled. So for example, let's say it's my turn, okay, I draw hatch, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and play TK for a cost of 4 for my hand, and then TK says you can look at my security stack, so I can go ahead and just look at this whole security stack. So I'm just going to look at it. You wouldn't normally reveal these, but I don't know why these are my security, but this is my security. Let's say I don't know, I want to grab this Atomic Inferno, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and then TK says, then if that card is yellow, trigger recovery +1, wasn't yellow, so we don't recover, and then shuffle your security stack. So then, because these are face up, you need to be able to randomize these cards. So what you actually do is you flip these face down again, and then you shuffle them up, and then you reorder your security. Let's say, I don't know, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would effectively lose your face-up effects from the Forge Beemons if you do end up shuffling your security. Now, I don't know why you would ever want to shuffle your own security, but maybe if your opponent is playing a card like Quantmon, for example, where they Quantmon your Queen Bee, put it on security, reveal your security, trash one of these. Let's say they trash like the Tamer, and then they shuffle up your whole security. Then in that scenario also, if these were face up originally, they would still get put face down and then shuffled. So just something to keep in mind, and I think it's a little bit funny how that ends up happening. But yeah, so that's the bees right there. Last thing I want to talk about was going to be Millenniumon. This deck, specifically the option card, the Wicked God Descends. So let's say we've got this Millenniumon in our hand, or sorry, on the field, and then we've got the option delayed as well. And then let's say that same kind of scenario happened where opponent just plays Leviamon. In this case, is just going to delete the Millenniumon here. So what we could do here is, since Leviamon is going to delete the Millenniumon, we have this option card that says, all turns when any of your Digimon with Millenniumon in their names would leave the battle area, delay. So this isn't interruptive, so before this gets deleted, we're going to go ahead and delay this. Wicked God Descend then says, you may play one Wicked God trait Digimon with a play cost 1 higher than that Digimon from your hand or trash without paying the cost. So again, so this isn't interruptive, we're going to go ahead and delay this. We're going to then play the Moon Millenniumon, because we are 15 to the 14 play cost, play the Moon Millenniumon, and then the effect of Leviamon will finish resolving, deleting this, and then that is that. And now at this point, off of that one interaction, you have a bunch of effects that trigger. You had a Digimon played, you had a Digimon deleted, as well as and on deletion triggering. So you have this Leviamon triggering since it deleted something to gain a memory. You have the on play of the Moon Millenniumon that is going to trigger. You also have the all turns effect of the Moon Millenniumon that says when another Digimon or Tamer are deleted, trash your top upon stop security. And then you have the on deletion effect of Millenniumon itself. So you can resolve that because this is your turn. This Leviamon's gonna have to wait a little bit. So you could resolve this in any specific way you'd want. So let's say in this scenario, I'm going to resolve the on play of Moon Millie first. We're going to go ahead and loop our opponent's hand. Then we're going to go ahead and trash the top card in security. So trash your top. Then we're going to go ahead and use the on deletion by returning a Chimeramon and Machine Dramon. So return Chimera Machine Dramon. Play just a Millenniumon, I believe. Yep, so play one Millenniumon from trash. And then now, since that was the newest trigger, this on play would happen, which is deleting one of our opponent's Digimon. So then we're going to go ahead and delete. In this instance, the Leviamon would be the best choice, because now, since all of our effects have finished resolving, oh, and then I guess you could also resolve the rest of that effect, but since you're not DNA Digivolving, you don't really get anything else. So then, at this point, since our effects are finished resolving, the Leviamon effect that it saw the original Millenniumon get deleted would trigger, but since it is no longer on the field, they don't actually gain the memory. This would be similar to something like maybe if your opponent had like an analog youth in hand, and like instead of the Leviamon, maybe you popped maybe like let's say you're at 0 memory or something, and you popped the LordKnight, but then they had an analog, you didn't want them to gain turn, so then you could use the on play of Moon Millie to pop the analog, and then since it wasn't on the field, it couldn't trigger to gain that memory. But yeah, so a little bit complicated, but the whole point here is that you had multiple effects triggering off of the single resolution of Leviamon, because this was interrupted. The interrupted effect played out a guy, and then all of these effects kind of triggered at the same time. So because you're turn player, you get to kind of resolve it however you'd like. Now, this would change completely if it was Leviamon's turn. Like, let's say they had evolved the Leviamon, so let's say you had put them to like 7 or something. They evo this for 5. Go down to 2, and then again, similar situation where, let's say these were back in trash, so then they go ahead and resolve Leviamon's effect to delete this. You do Wicked God Descends effect, play out Moon Millie, resolving Leviamon, delete this, and then that's that. But then since it's their turn, they will go ahead and gain the memory first, so gain a memory, and then you would still be able to resolve all your effects on deletion, play this out on deletion, maybe pop one of these guys, effect, trash top security, and so on and so forth. So yeah. And then the last thing I want to mention before I forget is going to be the new Decode ability. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but I did want to mention Decode specifically says when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than in battle, so it can actually be by your own effects. So for example, when you Digivolve Ryugumon, if you pass turn, you can go ahead and use its effect to return one of your Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So you can return itself and then use Decode to spit out a level 5, and then bottom deck it to bottom deck one of your opponent's level 6 or lower. And then after that, you would get the on play of your level 5, if it had one, for example, maybe like a Huan-kun or a, I forget whatever the level 5 fish thing is. But yeah, Decode, pretty self-explanatory. It just has to have left the battle area. So obviously through De-Digivolve or something that isn't leaving the battle area, so you can't trigger it then. The other thing that's cool with this partition, so if you have something like a Pale Dramon from BT16, you go ahead and Digivolve Ryugumon over it. Now the thing that won't trigger is partition if you go ahead and use use Ryugumon's End of Turn effect to bottom deck itself, because Partition says it has to be other than by your effects. But let's say if, for example, your opponent tries to delete it with a, I don't know, let's say Millenniumon or something, then you can go ahead and partition out the level 4s from the Paildramon stack first, and then use the Ryugumon effect to decode into level 5, playing out the Paildramon. So floating into 3 bodies basically is really cool there. So anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for the 2.0 ruling video. If you guys have any questions on any other cards I didn't mention, please let me know down in the comment section, and hopefully this was helpful. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.